Are the Green Bay Packers actually going to trade for six-time All-Pro edge rusher TJ Watt? We're going to talk about that here in this video. Man, when you start talking about player-for-player swaps, the recent trade between the Miami Dolphins and Pittsburgh Steelers for Jalen Ramsey makes it seem like, okay, do the Packers have the players in-house for a like-for-like trade? Of course, there would have to be some draft capital included in that because TJ Watt's going to warrant a massive price tag. And at his age, does it make the most sense for the Green Bay Packers? We're going to talk about all of that here in this video. Adam Schefter reported that in recent weeks, multiple teams have been discussing whether they can trade for Steelers standout TJ Watt, who skipped the team's most recent minicamp. Pittsburgh hasn't shown any willingness to deal Watt so far, but he's unhappy with his contractual situation. And sources believe outside team interest is likely to increase given the trade between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And at the end of the day, man, isn't that a reoccurring theme that you're hearing? The Green Bay Packers already have uh, Jenkins holding out because he's not happy with his current contract restructure. So he's looking for a restructure. And then you get this tweet that top breakout right here. Steelers insider says that the trade between TJ Watt and another party is not off the table. Anything is possible. He's not happy with the Steelers contract offer that was already made. So what would it take for the Green Bay Packers to get a guy like TJ Watt? Well, you look at players that are currently on the roster for the Green Bay Packers. You've got former first round draft pick Lucas Van Ness, who nobody quite knows what his ceiling is because he's so raw yet. Obviously, Brian Gutekunst believes in the guy. That's why he didn't go out there and sign any edge rushers this offseason, because he feels he's got the talent here in Green Bay. And time will tell whether or not that's going to be the case or not. Then you got guys like Romeo Dobbs. You got guys like Elton Jenkins, who we're going to have to restructure a deal there. So not as much money would have to come off the books as far as cap space goes. So how much money is available for the Packers right now as far as cap space out there? The Packers have 35.5 available. TJ Watt's current contract is 21.05. That's his base salary. So that's a whole lot of money. So do the Green Bay Packers have the money to sign a guy like TJ Watt and absorb that contract? Absolutely, they do. It'd be a tight squeeze given in-season injuries, and I think the league minimum is $850,000. So you have to account for all of that when it comes to your overall dollars and cap amount that you currently have. So does it make sense for Brian Gutekunst of the Green Bay Packers to pull the trigger on that? Okay, so there's an article that came out that TJ Watt trade rumors, 5 potential suitors for the Steelers as they seek to sign star pass rusher to a new deal. Of course, one of those teams are the Detroit Lions. Can you imagine Hutchinson and TJ Watt? That would be an absolute nightmare for the NFC North, Green Bay Packers, all the teams included. And then you've got the Green Bay Packers. You've got Rashawn Gary, who I feel is a very underrated pass rusher. And given help on the other side, help like a TJ Watt, it would take the Green Bay Packers defensive front to a whole new level. Kenny Clark would all of a sudden have a monster year. All of that would certainly happen with the signing of a TJ Watt. I would love for TJ Watt, who started his career in Wisconsin, to come back to Green Bay or come back to Wisconsin, join the Green Bay Packers. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm sure Jeff Hafley would welcome that with open arms. Do I think it's possible? Anything's possible. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. It's certainly not going to happen, in my opinion. Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks, and Commanders are also in the talks of that. Packers linked to potential TJ Watt trade amid new rumors. And then you've got another one, TJ Watt trade proposal would see the Packers sending Steelers draft pick, $70 million edge rusher, all that stuff. Okay, so at the end of the day, and I want you guys to leave your comments, I don't see a world that the Green Bay Packers live in with Brian Gutekunst as a general manager where they go out and they spend the money to get a guy like TJ Watt in-house. Now, it would be certainly a sight for sore eyes, but with the contract restructure of Jenkins, all of those things looming in the Green Bay Packers near future. I don't see a world where the Packers are able to pull that off or willing to pull that off. I think they can afford it, but I don't see a world where that happens. Otherwise, Brian Gutekunst would have, gone out and gotten another edge rusher if he feels the need to add to our edge rush depth already in house. Lucas Van Ness, big aspirations for him out of the Green Bay Packer organization heading into 2025. I think he's going to take a big step forward. Is it going to be big enough to have a dramatic impact on our defensive front? Time will be tell all things. But at the end of the day, the Green Bay Packers have guys like Clowney or Von Miller out there they can get a 1-year quick lease on if they don't see what they like out of Lucas Van Ness. That's certainly a possibility out there. There's some edge rushers that you can get a 1-year lease on without breaking the bank on a 30 to 31-year-old. He's going to be 31 this year. Edge rusher in TJ Watt. I certainly would love it. It certainly would bolster the Green Bay Packers defense. It would make them instant Super Bowl contenders. But at the end of the day, I certainly think the Green Bay Packers have a roster to be Super Bowl contenders as it is. And the Green Bay Packers, you got to remember, they're the youngest team in the league. They're only going to get better as they continue to play and grow together as a core unit. They used some draft capital. Byron Sorrell, I think, is going to be a guy that could have an impact on this Packer defensive front as well. But I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Of course, this would make a lot of sense for the Green Bay Packers to go and do something like that. However, I think the percentage, if I were to tie a percentage to that, I would say it's a 0% chance that the Green Bay Packers pull the deal like a TJ Watt in Green Bay. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.